I'm wondering what's going on with Professor Xavier there. He looks a little bit different. Students, I've been squeezed to death by Juggernaut, and I'm recovering. Hey YouTube, Al here from One Man Many Plans, and welcome to my latest decent haul from an op shop. Now, if you've been following this channel from the get-go, you probably know that I'm a big fan of op shopping, and it's more for the challenge of trying to find something from my childhood to bring back great memories, or just to find something that I've just gone, oh, I should have never let this go. Thank God it's here. I can grab it again for memory's sake, and I don't have to pay drug money to go and get it either, which is a really big bonus. Now, I have to admit that while I do like to op shop about once every couple of weeks, it's pretty rare that I actually buy anything. Now, I have bought some clothes. It's winter here in Australia, so scarves at $2 each, high quality scarves, are very, very well appreciated this time of year, I can tell you. But when I go in there and check out the clothes, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't fit or is out of style, or all the good jackets are gone. That's okay. When I go and check out books, I'm still on the hunt for fighting fantasy books from my childhood, those game books from Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone, and Tunnels and Trolls books, and Dungeons and Dragons books, and any kind of RPG gear. They are few and far between. There's a lot of sci-fis that I'll never read. There's a lot of John Grisham novels, naturally. There's Danielle Steele aplenty. A lot of authors that I never really got into. They're always there at an op shop. But on occasion, you do stumble across something that's either unique, or you think, oh, wow, okay, that's grabbed my attention, let's take a closer look. And today was definitely the exception to the rule, because I actually came home with some tins. Now, not some biscuit tins, not some sewing tins, not some tins of beer. I wouldn't be buying that at the op shop. But I am talking collectible card game tins. Now, I will go into this particular game in another video, because it needs a whole video to get through the Ivory Edition. This is, I think, one of the supplement cans, or supplement tins, supplement packs, whatever you want to call it, that it came with as part of the Legend of the Five Ring series. But interestingly, I actually stumbled across this stuff because just as I was checking out some clothes, one of the workers at the op shops walked past with an armful full of games, including this. Now, this is, I'm guessing, a starter pack. I have no idea, but huge tin. Gates of Havoc for Legend of the Five Rings, $3. And I just grabbed it. As soon as I saw it, I thought, right, that screams role-playing game to me. I've got to have that. Picked it up instantly before anyone else had a chance to even look at it. And then while I was just rummaging around looking for everything else, I ended up in the section where they have playing cards, you know, jacks, kings, queens, and so on and so forth, deck of cards, and couldn't help but notice that there were not one but two of these as well. And then I looked at it and went, oh, hang on, wait a minute, these are the cards that actually go with that big tin. So this is somebody's collection that they've either donated, and hopefully for good reasons, or perhaps it's a deceased estate. Whatever it is, it's very rare that you get stuff like this in an op shop, so I grabbed it naturally, and we'll go through this and talk more about it, because I want to read up and learn how to play it and give this one a go. It does look really, really cool. But today's video, as you probably saw by the thumbnail, is all about this tin. Now this, as soon as I saw the X-Men, I went, that is fantastic, because I'm such a kid from the 90s and the 80s, obviously, but I grew up with the X-Men comics, and I'm talking the X-Men comics when it had these prime characters in there, you know, Storm and Rogue, Gambit, Cyclops, Wolverine, Jubilee, Professor Xavier, Professor X ready to go, battling Magneto, and, you know, Iceman was there as well, and Sunfire, and, you know, you had so many great characters and so many great adventures and fantastic villains, and yeah, just amazing. So as soon as I saw that, I went, wow, that's brought me back to not only memories of the comics that I used to read, but also X-Men cartoon on TV. And I love the fact that you can go to, I think it's Netflix now, and you can watch X-Men 97, which is absolutely amazing. So as soon as I saw this, I grabbed it, not even knowing what it was, because it was in with the deck of cards, so naturally I assumed it's just a Marvel deck of cards. But before we get into this, let's just have a look at this. I'm wondering what's going on with Professor Xavier there. He looks a little bit different. Students, I've been squeezed to death by Juggernaut, and I'm recovering. And everyone else looks normal except for Gambit, who looks very, very gaunt. You know, Bagumbo, I should eat more gumbo. Beast looks fine, a little bit possessed, and Cyclops looks as stern as always, but just, yeah, what's going on with Professor X? On the side, he's looking very serious, seriously disappointed. Probably saw the artwork for the front cover. But there's Wolverine looking stoic. You know, you've got Jubilee losing her stuff. Again, Beast is looking a little bit psychotic. Rogue is Rogue, fantastic. Yeah, great looking tin. And like I said, I thought, oh, it's got to be a deck of cards in there, surely. I had a look on the back. The back gives a little description of the characters. It doesn't say what's in it, but it does point out that this is from 1994. And as soon as I saw the year, I went, oh, okay, that means it could be a couple of things. What I was really, really hoping it was collectible Marvel cards from about the early 90s. Had heaps of comics, still got a whole bunch of comics actually up in that box there, but I didn't collect too many Marvel cards back in the day. I do have a Gambit sort of see-through card that I bought at a comic store that was closing down. They had a half-price clear-it-out sale. I went, great, that's $10 in the case. I'll take it for $5. It's got a protective case on it. Probably one of the only Marvel cards I've got, to be honest. And I thought, maybe this thing is full of those cards. How good would that be? The other thought that I did have is that around the early 90s in high school, friends and I were playing a card game, a collectible card game from Marvel called Overpower. And it was all about selecting 4 heroes and the cards that go with them. I remember buying a starter deck that had the X-Men in it. You could play as Professor X, and he had a strength rating of 2. The maximum was 9 or 10, I think, and he had 2. And someone at school laughed about that and said, well, what's he going to do? Throw a brick at you? 2 is pathetic. But then he had, he was one of the best characters for mind powers, those kinds of things. Overpower didn't really last that long, but I thought, what a great flashback that would be if I opened this up and it's full of Overpower cards from the mid-90s. That'd be kind of cool. Worst case scenario, it's a deck of Marvel cards. But either way, taped up, it still had something in it, and I couldn't wait to get it home and open it up. And when I did find out that it was a card game. Only it wasn't what I expected. Okay, so the first thing that we found when we opened up this mystery tin was some rules for a Marvel card game. No. This is the rules addendum for Ani-mayhem. Now, I did a little Googling to find out what the hell Ani-mayhem is, because I have no idea. And around the height of Magic the Gathering, in the early 90s, there were a few card games being produced just to capitalise on that. Oh, these kids are going crazy for this mana stuff and tap swamps and cast things, and maybe we should do our own version of this. And so Top Deck and another company actually got together and created Ani-mayhem, which is an anime-based collectible card game. Now, it only lasted a couple of years, 1996 into 1997, and the idea was that there was a whole heap of different anime worlds and anime characters that got together and could fight and do all of these things in this game, and if you're an anime fan, you might recognise them. I'm not. My history of anime is incredibly limited. I grew up with cartoons like Robotech, the Macross Saga, Trenzor Z, Astro Boy. I've seen Akira. Does that count? But that's as far as my anime goes. So I have no idea what I'm actually looking at here. The other interesting thing to note about this one, Ani-mayhem, was that when it was first released, the instructions were pretty vague, according to Wikipedia. So a lot of people weren't really exactly sure what was going on, but they probably figured, oh, the kids will buy this in troves and we'll make a fortune because, hey, collectible card games are the future here. And so that was the very first version, or version 0, as they call it, back in the day. Didn't last for too many versions, naturally. They did bring out a rules revising and all the things that it needed to be done. I can't actually tell you unless there's a date somewhere that I need a magnifying glass to actually identify which particular version this is, but I can say that these cards are in fantastic nick, which is awesome. And that in 1997 they did a version for Dragon Ball Z, which was really, really taking off. And then that was the last of things. I think it got a little bit too confusing. The Dragon Ball Z cards were a little overpowered for players. So if you had an original deck, which I'm assuming this might be, you got completely poleaxed by anyone that had more recent version to play with, and it's kind of went the way of the dodo. I don't know how many cards there are in full, but there's quite a few cards in this X-Men tin. Someone's collection, but it's someone's barely played collection too. I think maybe they collected it, threw it in the tin, and then left it there. Because when you think about it, 1996 is 30 years ago. These cards are 30 years old, and they are looking fantastic for 3 decades and running. The thing is, though, having never heard of Ani-mayhem, I'm going to put it out on a limb here and suggest that these might be the only Ani-mayhem cards in the region. Unless there's another set just in an attic somewhere, or in a cellar, or in a moving box. They bought it because it was kind of cool. Hey, anime cards back in the day. I don't know if they're worth anything. It'll be an interesting mission to find out. Will I learn how to play Ani-mayhem? No, because I bought it for the X-Men box. I probably will end up using this box for something like a Magic the Gathering deck or something else, because it's very, very cool. These were promotional boxes, and apparently originally back in the day, depending on where you got it from, they either had collectible cards in them, which was what I was hoping for naturally, or temporary tattoos, or occasionally bubblegum. And I could only imagine how bad the bubblegum would taste from 1994 to now. With the temporary tattoos in it, they're about $30, as a collector's item. So there's not much monetary value to this thing. But hey, for a memory sake thing, and for something to go, oh yeah, X-Men, for $3 I took the gamble, and I've ended up with some kind of collectible card game from 1996. So there you go. But speaking of card games, like I said at the start, coming very, very soon once I have a big read and probably watch a lot of YouTube videos to work out exactly how this works, because there's a lot of cards to get through. This has got 4 decks in it. These are absolutely filled to the brim. I'll show you. Have a look at that. So I've got a lot of cards to work my way through and work out what I'm going to do with them. I do play Magic the Gathering with the kids on occasion, so maybe this will be there for game night, provided it's not too complicated. But I'm interested to see how this goes and get into a little bit more history, because this is the Ivory edition, these little tins. This one is the Gates of Chaos. I'm sure I said, like it said, Sapphire edition or something somewhere. This display contains 48 packs of 11 cards each. Well, it doesn't have that anymore. It's got 4 big boxes in there. But hey, that is for another video. Thanks for checking it out today. If you know anything about Ani-mayhem, or know anyone that collects it, or can steer me in the right path of any resources to read up on, please leave a comment below. If this tin has brought back memories for you of the X-Men or the 90s or whatever it is, please leave a comment below. If you're loving this kind of flashback stuff, plenty more to come. Like and subscribe, and I'll be back undoubtedly, hopefully soon, with some more good news, given that they've just started to put this stuff out at the op shop. I might pop down tomorrow or the next day and just see if there's a little bit more of whoever's collection this was, because this might just be the start of a op shop gold mine, hopefully.